When you walk into a room, do you have thoughts like, where will I stand? Or what if I say something weird? Or do I look awkward? Maybe once you experience that, you start having an increase in heart rate. Maybe your brain starts darting, going back and forward, looking around, feeling hypervigilant. You feel like everyone's eyes are on you. What I want you to learn in this episode is one powerful social anxiety trick that I use all the time for myself and with my clients, and one thing that will instantly make you feel more confident when you're in groups. Now, of course, this isn't going to take all of your anxiety away, but it is a very important mindset shift that I want you to make. Now, the thing to remember here is it's probably the opposite of what your anxious brain is telling you to do. And let me explain why this one trick is the opposite. Now, one thing to know is that the tool I'm going to give you is probably the opposite of what your anxious brain is telling you and has told you to do. Hello, my name is Kimberly Quinlan. I'm an anxiety specialist and I am on a mission to equip 10 million people with science-backed anxiety skills. I have a podcast and a YouTube and an Instagram, and I have all of these resources. And I've decided this is the year where I am going to double what I have done in the previous years and really get out there and help you manage your anxiety. So let's talk about it today. Social anxiety tells us that the problem is how we are coming across. And this is a major error in thinking. Now, it tells us to monitor your voice, to monitor where your hands are and where you put your hands. It tells you to monitor your face and what expressions you have. It tells you to monitor what words you say. In fact, it tells you that there are very, very specific words you need to do to appear cool or collected or comfortable. And it tells you to also monitor how they are reacting to you. Now, what happens when we do that is we turn inward. We spend a lot of time focusing in our brain. We end up being hyper focused on ourselves, and we then start to manage every micro expression and every sentence. You know what this is like. It can be so painful. The thing to remember is the more we monitor ourselves, the more anxious we feel. Social anxiety feeds on being self-focused and putting all of that attention on ourselves. Now, what can you do? What are we here to learn? Today's trick is not about acting confident. It's not a fake it till you make it approach. However, I'm not completely opposed to that. It's not about having better conversation skills. However, again, that is helpful too. And it's not about pretending that you're calm. What we're going to do here is we are going to focus not on what we say, what our hands are doing, what people are thinking, what our face is doing. We are going to focus on 4 specific things. Number 1, I want you to focus outside of your body. I want you to be thinking about what color are the walls? What color are their eyes? What shoes are they wearing? What handbag are they wearing? Bring your attention outside of what you're doing and put your attention on them, on what's going on around you. Because we know the more you focus on you, the more freaked out you're going to feel. Number 2, I want you to actually put your attention on what the person is actually saying. What is the tone of their voice? What are their expressions? What are they actually saying? Do you agree? Get really engaged in what they're saying, what they're doing, not what you're doing. The next thing is ask yourself what's interesting about their story. You don't have to agree, but start to get curious. What is happening with them? What are they trying to project? What are they trying to share? What is their intention? Get curious about them instead of being completely hypervigilant about you. And ask questions to them, right? The best thing you can do is once they've shared their thoughts, people love talking about themselves. They love feeling like people are interested in them. The easiest way in social settings to keep the conversation going and be engaged is to ask questions. Now, what often happens is if you say, interesting, you're talking about gardening, when did you learn to garden? They might share a story about their grandpa or their mother or their father or the man that lived down the street. Then you now might have a story about your grandpa or your mother or your father or your person who lived down the street. And you might find that you have relatable things. Instead of you focusing on all of the nitty gritty, now you're actually attuning to them. You're actually connecting with them. You're actually engaging in getting to know them instead of trying to just be perfect on the outside and the inside. Now, when we shift our attention outward, our anxiety goes down, our self-consciousness drops, our presence increases, and that is our goal. Now, there are 4 specific things I'm going to have you practice here. And these are 4 things I need you to know. Number 1 is going to be that research shows that people with social anxiety engage in high levels of self-focused attention and post-event rumination, whereas folks who don't have anxiety don't do that. Now, what happens with social anxiety, it's called the spotlight effect. When they walk into a room, they feel like the whole world is watching them, that they are on the spotlight, and everyone is meticulously judging every little thing about them. But the truth of the matter is, folks who don't have social anxiety don't experience that spotlight effect, and we can't control that piece of it. But we can control what we put our attention on. Again, if we're going to focus inward, we're going to get more anxious. So our job is to practice focusing outward. Number 2 is get curious. Curiosity is the antidote to self-consciousness. And I'm going to give you some examples here. So if you have the thought, do they like me? A curious response would be, what's interesting about this person? Right? Or do I like them? Are they interesting to me? What about them kind of makes me aware or cautious? Maybe they're a little judgy or they're a little loud, and you can be just curious about that. Maybe you're having the thought, am I talking too much? A curious response would be, what follow-up questions can I ask? So if you do feel like you're anxious and you do start to rattle off a lot of stuff, pause and ask them a question. If you have the thought, do they think I'm stupid? You might reply with, what do we have in common? Instead of isolating yourself with, am I the only one who's not good? Focus on what are the common, wonderful things we both have in common. The next thought maybe is, will they tell everyone about the mistake I made or how awkward I was or how anxious I was? And then I want you to ask this question, and I find this one to be the most valuable, is how can I serve others in this moment? That is going to be so important. The reason it's so important is if you are there only focusing on yourself, again, we get more freaked out. But can you be there to benefit the world in some way? And don't get too overly perfectionistic about this either, but could it be, sometimes I know when I'm anxious, I actually recently just went to this marketing event, and it was all therapists and everyone was sort of already, talking to someone or in their little groups. And I was starting to get really feeling uncomfortable. And I started to think, well, maybe I should just head out. This is too much. Everyone's found their people already. And I thought, no, somebody else here is probably anxious and wants to meet someone who's lovely. And I'm lovely. I'm nice. So I'm going to go on the effort to make somebody else feel more comfortable. I also think there are probably people here who need an OCD therapist to have referrals for or to consult with. So I'm going to go do that in the service of being helpful to other therapists in my area. Instead of thinking about, how ridiculous am I? Think about how you might be able to serve others or make the world a better place. Now, the thing to remember here is you're going to need to do this over and over and over. Your anxious brain is going to say, no, 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 you're so bad, you're so terrible, everyone's thinking of you, and you will need to bring your attention out of your brain back to the outside, to the person in front of you as many times as you can. Now, if you're someone who struggles with this, what I would strongly encourage you to do is to consider taking our online course called the Rumination Reset. This is a course that I created to solve one specific problem, and that is rumination. When you get stuck ruminating, and you don't want to be ruminating. You want to be enjoying your life, but you have this feeling of like you just can't seem to get control. You can't seem to get and manage this strong urge to ruminate. Before you know it, you've lost hours, minutes, days. This course, the Rumination Reset, is for you. It is a shorter course that will teach you the specific science-based skills I teach my clients to overcome and manage rumination. Again, it's not a quick fix. You will have to do the homework, but I have worksheets, I have PDFs, there's a workbook. It is fully laid out so that it makes a ton of sense for you. And we have some bonus modules there about different conditions and how rumination shows up, whether it be depression, anxiety, panic, OCD, social anxiety, health anxiety, relationship anxiety, and all of those. So number 3 is let anxiety come with you. We talk a lot about this on your anxiety toolkit. And so the thing I want you to remember here is that if you're trying to not have anxiety, it will come strong. It will come with a vengeance. And so another important skill when you're in a social setting is to allow yourself to be anxious. Let your heart race. Let your hands shake if they're shaking. The more you try and control it and hide that, the more it will come across as awkward. Often, and I will tell you this, I do a lot of social anxiety exposures with my one-on-one clients. We might go to the supermarket, we might go across the street to the Starbucks, and I have them practice engaging with people using these exact skills. And I'm usually a little bit away observing how they're acting so I can give them feedback. And what I notice is if they're having anxiety and let's say they're shaking or their voice is trembling, the more they try and hide it, the more awkward they appear. It's sort of counterintuitive. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's totally normal to have awkward interactions with people. That is a normal part of being a human being. That's not just people with social anxiety. But what I notice is the more you try to appear like you're fine, the more you sort of seem rigid and unfocused and unrelaxed. So I will often tell them, let yourself shake, but relax your hands. Relax your jaw, soften your eyes, drop your shoulders down. I once had a client say to me, oh, you want me to go and look like a spaghetti? And I go, pretty much, yeah. Like, I want you to sort of let your shoulders and everything go a little more soft and spaghetti-like instead of holding your shoulders up around your ears. Just drop them down. Let yourself feel anxious. Stop holding tension there as much as you can. Okay, so now we're going to move over to number 4, which is you are going to practice these skills in small, safe ways. Now, what we know is this is not something you're going to master overnight. Just listening to this alone is not going to change a huge thing for you. It's going to be little mini micro practices that you do. So I want you to start small. I want you to go to the grocery store and notice the details around you. I want you to go to that work meeting and focus on one speaker's words. I want you to go to that gathering and set a goal to ask maybe 3 curious questions. If going at all is so hard for you, maybe you say, I'm just going to go for 4 or 5 minutes. And next time I'll go for 5 to 10 minutes. That's a huge win. I want you to remember small baby steps is what's going to win you here. Okay, so they might notice that we do not measure success here by how anxious you feel. We measure success by the question, did I redirect my attention when I noticed it turning inward? If you are able to catch that and redirect yourself outward 3, 5, 10 times, you are doing such important work. Again, this is a practice. This is a muscle you strengthen because you will naturally go inward and you're going to have to practice taking your attention outward. Now let's recap. The trick is to try to shift your attention outward from how am I doing and what are they thinking about me to what's going on outside of me and what are other people doing. Now I want you to remember, use your curiosity, engage externally and let anxiety come along for the ride. And my message to you, my love, is please hear me on this. If you walk into a social setting and you feel awkward, you feel shaky, you feel hyper aware, you're not broken. I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you because there's nothing wrong with you. This is just about you teaching yourself a new way to respond to anxiety. Now, as I mentioned before, I am on a mission to double my impact this year. And so, if you have the time and it feels aligned with your mission, please do share my episodes or any resources we have over at CBT School. It would mean the world to me to make a bigger impact in the world of anxiety. I think of it like a chocolate bar. It's more yummy when you share it. We want to share the love. We want to spread the deliciousness. And so if you have someone in your life that you think that would benefit from these episodes or resources or anything that I do, please do share it with them. Now, as always, I know how valuable your time is. Thank you so much for spending time with me. And please do go to cbtschool.com for any of our resources. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.